Well, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and due to the pandemic, local organizations have seen an increase in people asking for help. Fox 61's Gabby Molina has more on the resources available in a program taking place all week.
The YWCA Hartford region is holding its Week Without Violence virtually this year, connecting people to information and resources about domestic violence. It comes at a time that's so important as many people have been left in dangerous situations because of the pandemic.
What it did for many individuals is keep them in their home with their partner who is abusive to them.
One of the many effects of the COVID-19 pandemic has sadly been an increase in the amount of people seeking help from domestic violence organizations.
60% of the individuals reaching out for help have never reached out before during this pandemic. And that's really an impressive number of people that we are really paying attention to, wanting to be supportive, help them through their safety, and to develop some plans.
Bringing attention to the issue and letting people know they're not alone, the YWCA is holding its Week Without Violence for the next 5 days, posting videos online with different topics and information each day, from statistics to hearing a survivor's story.
Hearing her story, knowing that I'm not alone, because some people often, by nature of a lot of the abuse that happens, that people are isolated and often kept from their families and friends to be under control. So they may often feel that they're all alone.
People are encouraged to participate even if they aren't in the situation themselves, in hopes that it could help someone who is.
If you know someone who is going through an experience, sharing these videos with them and information and letting them know that there is help out there that they can reach out to.
The Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence is one of the places people can reach out to. Their CT Safe Connect resource can be accessed at any time.
CT Safe Connect has really, especially during the pandemic, served to be an enormous resource. It's a phone or a hotline and email, text, live chat where anyone in multiple languages can reach out for help 24/7.
We have the link to that on our website, fox61.com, as well as more information about the YWCA's Week Without Violence. In Hartford, Gabby Molina, Fox 61 News.